Hello, lovelies. Welcome to Nut Free Formula. My name's Frida. Thank you for joining me. In tonight's episode, I want to talk about, should I go back to the narcissist? Before I start though, just quickly, if you like my videos, please remember to like them, subscribe to the channel, and to help me grow the channel, please share the videos on social media platforms. All right, let's get into it. So, for anyone who's loved and left a narcissist, or loved and been discarded by a narcissist, we all know it's a confusing kind of time. And a lot of women ask whether or not, they should go back. So either he's come back, or you're just in general thinking about, a potential future for the two of you. But there are two things that are really, really important to consider when you're thinking about this. And the main thing is that you've got to consider is that, this kind of term narcissism, it's not like calling someone, a bastard, or, I don't want to swear too badly, but, or an asshole. This is an actual diagnosed condition. So it's a personality disorder. So it actually kind of means something. It's not something that you can wish away. It's not something that, that time is not going to just, fix this problem. Hello, darling. Thank you for joining me. So let's get into it. So he wants you back. He's begging, pleading, promising that it's going to be different this time. And you can hear it in his voice. You can tell that he really, really means it. And yeah, you loved him, and it was hard to leave him the first time around. So you start thinking, okay, well, maybe, maybe this time, if he gets counseling, or if he does this or that, maybe we can make it work. But once again, what you're forgetting is the object constancy. Okay, this is a really important thing. So object constancy, this kind of idea that, that when he loves you, and when he doesn't, he doesn't. So when he discarded you the first time around, when he was, I don't know, disappearing off with new supply without a backwards glance, and discarding you and devaluing you, he just didn't even think about you then. He'd forgotten about you, out of sight, out of mind. So just like he did that, the opposite of that is when you're now back on his radar. You are the center of his world again. So maybe things didn't work out with his new supply. Who knows what the story is? But if he's back and he's wanting to get back together with you, he's re-idealized you. So he's put you back up on the pedestal where you used to be. And that feels like, you can feel it. You remember what that feels like to be adored and idealized by him. And this is why women say, oh, but it feels so different, and it feels like it used to, what is it, like, I know that he means it this time. And as I said, he probably does mean it. But you are the only person who has control in this situation. A narcissist is just, they're just dragged around by their programming, basically. So he's re-idealized you. You can do no wrong again. You are the woman for him. But let's just fast forward a little bit. Let's just imagine, okay, you take him back. And I don't know how long it would take, but I can almost guarantee, if you look back to your previous previous relationship or situationship with him, however long it took that time around for you to get to the devaluation stage, you could probably maybe halve it, maybe even less. You might get yourself there, within a week. It could even happen within a day. I've heard of women taking them back, and literally within a day, they've somehow fucked it up and they're back out again. So this is the problem. You will get to the point where, as I said, the idealization stage will be over, and he will start the devaluation. He will realize, oh, hang on, she's human. Or maybe you'll bring up something, because people do that. They talk about, what happened when they were separated. They talk about the problems they had. But he doesn't want to talk about the problems. He just wants you to forget about it and put him back up on, he wants to be back up on a pedestal as well. He wants you looking up to him, admiring him, giving him lots of fuel, and he doesn't want you to remind him of his fall from grace. He doesn't want to talk about the problems that you guys had at all. And what happens then? Narc injury occurs. A narc injury occurs, and his programming kicks in just like that. So now, because of object constancy, now, boom, you're off that pedestal again. And my God, do you believe what that woman's saying to me? And he's back to that, hating you. Oh God, I can't believe I fell for her lies and her bullshit again. He's literally taken you from high up on the pedestal, idealizing you, to devaluing you, getting ready for the discard. And it happens so quickly because they don't have control over their emotions. They don't have, they're not like us. When you're a normal functioning adult, there's certain things that that relationships take work, that they take communication, that things take time to heal. Whereas with a narcissist, as I said, they just want it right now. They want it back the way it was. They don't want to talk about those pesky, they want to have those pesky arguments about who said what and why that all happened. They don't want to think about that stuff. But because you are a healthy, functioning adult, you're going to want to sort through it. But as I said, as soon as you do, that creates the narc injury. The programming kicks straight back in, and now you're at the devaluation stage. And just as he did the first time, he will start seeking other supply from other people because he'll see the end coming. He'll know because you've done it before. He knows, he's seeing the signs. One thing that narcs are quite good at is seeing the signs. They preempt everyone. They, they are so focused on their own kind of survival, I suppose, that they preempt everyone's behavior, everyone's moods, and they want to always be one step ahead. So when you start acting a certain way, then they start realizing, oh, the end is coming soon. There's a few more exit signs, like when you're traveling along the freeway, there's a few more exit signs before my exit, and then I'm out of here. So they can see that coming. You, on the other hand, will be thinking, well, we've just broken up and got back together, and sure, we've got some problems. We're going to have to keep working at it, and it's going to take time. They, on the other hand, do not think like that. They think, well, it's all turned to shit again, and I need to find myself some new supply fast. I mean, they've probably, truth be told, they've probably been trying to source new supply the entire time that if you get back together with them, that you were back together. Like, it's just in their nature. They can't help themselves. And this is not to justify it, because it is a choice. So they can actually help themselves, but they choose not to. This is the pattern of their behavior. They choose not to change because they see it that this way is, that it supports them. It works for them in their mind, because they don't want to fall in love, and they don't want to be vulnerable, and they don't want to look at themselves. They don't want any of that. They just want people to adore them and to give them fuel all of the time. All right, so give me 1 second. I've just got some notes. And thank you. Yep, acting like nothing ever happens. And it's really, really true. And the funny thing is, they act like nothing's happened until something happens, and then all of a sudden, every single thing that you did wrong, they've remembered that all. There's a checklist. They've written down this little list of everything, and then it will all come out, and they use that to devalue you. And you'll be thinking, well, I thought we let that go. I thought we were giving it a second try. I thought we were forgetting about what happened the first time around. I thought we'd worked through that. I thought we were, having a fresh start. And none of it is logic. It's just not logical to us because we're healthy and normal, and none of this is logical. Their behavior, it's just the opposite of logic. All right, so and here's another thing to think about. So if they did have new supply while you were separated, if you make the mistake of re-engaging with them, best believe that they will be keeping the other, so the former supply, how we put that, the new supply that they've just broken up with. So just like they kept tabs on you and recycled you, they'll be keeping her in, like a plane, like in the holding pattern. They'll be keeping tabs on her. And every time you don't act right, every time you expect something from them, or you don't give them enough fuel, every time you kind of step out of line, best believe they will be texting her. They will be trying to contact her, just like they tried to contact you when she wasn't acting right. You got to remember, how they treat her is how they're going to treat you again. They just don't. There's no one is sacred to them. It doesn't matter. You could have been married for 20 years. That doesn't mean a thing to a narcissist. That's just like a jail sentence to them. They don't care. There's no commitment ever at all. So getting back to this new supply. So I've heard of situations where, women have, for example, been married for 10 years and they've separated from the narcissist. They've spent 6 months apart. He's been having a situationship with another woman and then tries to recycle the ex and come back home. So poor old wifey thinks that, this is their happily ever after, that they're going to rebuild their shattered dreams and shattered marriage. And these women, they buy into it because he seems so genuine when he's saying it. And he really might mean it when he's saying it, because he's fucking high. He's high on the idolization phase. He's put you back up on the pedestal. You're his wife. He loves you above anyone. He loves you so much more than he ever loved any of those other women. And this is the stuff that he'll be saying. And he'll probably really feel it at that time. So you can't rely on narcissists and their emotions. They're like toddlers. They get really excited and they get really let down. And they get really excited and they get let down. There's nothing that you can't take any of this to the bank. You can't rely on them. None of it is solid. None of it's stable. All that I can guarantee you that you can expect from them is more of the same. So more of the Narc cycle. So the idolization at the beginning, the devaluation, and then the discard. And as I said, if he got new supply involved, you'll be cast as the other woman. So when you think you're taking him back and you're working things out, but he's late from work and you're thinking, oh, that's a little bit strange. Yes, that's where he is when he's late from work. Because that's what they're about, maintaining fuel supplies. And he's never going to forget the fact that you either left him, or even if he discarded you, he is not going to ever forget the fact that you tried to go no contact. That is going to have created a huge narc injury. It doesn't matter what he says when he's re-idolizing you, when he's putting you back up on that pedestal. It doesn't matter what he says. He will never get over that injury. The whole, in his mind, it's who the fuck does she think she is to not want me, to not love me, to walk away from me, because they know that they're okay discarding you, but they're not okay with you taking control of the situation. They're not okay with you being the one to leave at any point. I'm really glad. Thank you, darling, for for your comments. I really appreciate reading. I really appreciate reading them. Thank you for sharing that. So as I said, when they're idolizing you again, they'll momentarily forget all of the stuff that they're holding on to. But it's there, and you're the adult. You're the one who's in control. You're the one who's mentally well. These guys aren't well. You've got to remember that. So it doesn't matter what they say. There's not going to be a happily ever after. It's just going to be more of the same. And if he has new supply, you'll be cast as the other woman. So he'll go bouncing backwards and forwards between the two of you. And I could think of nothing worse. Having, and that would be the ideal situation, honestly, for a narcissist, having two women competing for each other, competing against each other for his attention. Two women that he can use the other one to punish. So when one's not acting right, he goes to the other one. And just, subtle stuff. Like, oh, so-and-so used to, or she did this, or, oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I just forgot that we do it this way. I just forgot because we were doing it that way, me and her. I don't want to talk about it either. I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry. I love you. They're so bloody manipulative. Don't do this to yourselves is all I can say. Okay, object constancy, research it. If you don't believe me, research it. These guys have a disorder. It's a genuine thing. Okay, you can't magic it away. There's no wishful thinking. There is no amount of narc idolization that's going to fix this. Okay, he will tell you he can fix it. He will believe that he can fix it. You will feel like he can fix it, but he can't fix it. Okay. They always take the path of least resistance. So when you have an argument and you want to talk about it, he's not going to talk about it. He's just going to walk off or go talk to the new supply, who's now the ex. This is what I'm saying. There's no healthy behavior with these guys. It's just more of the same. So even if they want to be healthy, even if they want to keep the relationship alive, they just don't have the skills to do it. So if you're thinking about it, all right, think long and hard, because all you're really going to do is just waste more of your time. I can guarantee you that I have not spoken to one woman who has said to me, oh, yep, that was, that worked really well. In fact, I've heard the complete opposite. It got worse the second time around. It got more violent the second time around. The damage was done, or they just took more. So they came back and stole more, whether it was property or cash or belongings or whatever. It's just not, no matter how much we want it to be good, it's not going to be good. And we can't get caught up in their, in their excitement. And that's right. They take absolutely no responsibility. They don't take responsibility for their own actions. They don't take responsibility or take control of any situation if they don't want to. So when they want to, they can be very controlling and they can be very, get everyone on board. They can get excited and get everyone on board. Like, yeah, we're going to make this work. Yeah, baby, I promise. And we'll go to counseling and we'll do this and we'll do all the things that we said we were going to do. We'll travel the world together. Like, they can get you really excited and believing in the dream, because that's what they do. That's future faking. Okay, but they just don't have the skills. As soon as they get injured, it's that narc injury. And they'll triangulate you again. And like I said, if there's new supply, it's just going to get ugly. So do what you need to do, darlings, to get yourself narc free, because it's the only way to go. It doesn't matter, how much your heart's breaking, because it's not, it's just not going to get better. People think, if I go back, we can maybe, this will be our happily ever after and we can make it something. You just can't. And I know, because I wasted an extra year of my life, trying to do, round 2. And like everything I'm saying is genuine. From personal experience, I know exactly what happens. They don't have the stamina for dealing with a relationship the first time around, let alone a relationship that's had damage done. And they don't forget. They never forget. All right, lovelies, thank you for joining me, and thank you so much for your comments. It's nice to know that someone watches it, watches my videos. I mean, I know people watch it, but it's just nice to actually have you here. So have a good evening, lovelies, and I will talk to you tomorrow night. And never take them back is the conclusion of the story. That is correct. Never, never, never. All right, good night, loves.